Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Beyond the Saga. Dave Cottingham here with Hannah Burr. Hannah, how are you tonight?
I am well, and how are you?
Doing great. And we have finally come to the end of our journey talking Star Wars, the comic series, the first comic series, canon comic series. You know, after the Disney buyout, Star Wars rebooted under Marvel. And we started talking about this book or this series. Volume 1 was in March of last year. Did I say March or May of last year? I think it was maybe May of last year.
What, it was May? Maybe it was
March. March of last year. So we are now to volume 13, which is Rogues and Rebels. Rebels and Rogues was 12. Now 13 is this one. And this consists of 3 issues, 74, 75, 73, 74, 75, but then also a book called Star Wars Empire Ascendant, which we'll talk about as well. That kind of leads into The Empire Strikes Back, basically. Because that's what we're doing. This book is filling the gap between episode 4 and 5, the series in a way. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, how we felt that it did for that. This book, again, written by Greg Pak, who wrote the previous book. Phil Noto was your artist, which is actually really good. This thing came out March 17th of 2020, so it's been out for a couple years now. But like I said, this series, you know, filled in that 3-year gap between 3 and 4. I'm sorry, between 4 and 5, episodes 4 and 5. And this book truly gets you to The Empire Strikes Back, moments before that. So as we do, what we're going to do is, you know, talk about the overall book here and then kind of reflect a little bit about the entire series and give our thoughts about that. So, Hannah, first up though, this volume, continuing off of volume 12, it wasn't kind of its own story. It's kind of wrapping up what started in volume 12. So what do you think about how everything wrapped up?
I mean, it wrapped up.
Yes, it did.
It wrapped up. No, I mean, like it's a way to bring the story to an end, but I don't know. To me, it felt a little bit of a letdown. I'm not gonna lie. Mm-hmm. We still had that weird thing with the rock sentient people. We still have Luke with that woman who is force sensitive, but now she's like, no, I'm not your teacher, even though I kind of taught you things. And then we have Han and Leia with their tensions still brewing. But we get to Hoth. And I don't think this is much of a spoiler, but if I was playing Star Wars Bingo, I never would put my bet on Chewbacca and Darth Vader fighting.
True. Yeah.
But here we are, and I never knew I wanted that until it happened. To me, coming off of the last volume that we read, I'm not that surprised considering it's the same author that we experienced something similar, though not as jarring in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But as I said, we still get to Hoth. We still have some conclusion. It's just, I don't know. I honestly don't know exactly how I feel about it, to be completely honest.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah, you know, we do get Vader in this book, mm-hmm. like you said. So that I liked that part of it.
That was great. That was an excellent part.
Yes, agreed. I don't feel like the Luke storyline really went anywhere that I cared about too much. The Chewbacca one, again, yeah, like you said, got interesting because Vader was there. the Han and Leia one, it obviously wrapped up. But, in the end, they kind of find their way together. They help each other get out of the situations that they're in. The plans never went the way they were supposed to go in a sense.
Oh, shocker there.
Yeah. So in the end, it kind of worked itself out, but the rock planet itself was very crazy. I don't know how much we would give away, but
I don't think you should give anything away. Just let people experience it for themselves.
Yeah. It just went down a different road for us, I think.
I didn't see it coming.
I totally didn't see that coming. No, not at all. But I did, like you said a little bit, I think I did have this feeling that we were going to get to Hoth on a better way. Because to be honest, at the end of 75, we're kind of not there yet. I mean, I know I know these missions were out there to kind of protect the location so that they can kind of build on it. But I kind of feel like there's a little bit of a time jump still there. There's a little bit of a gap because, I was hoping it would be literally the next page would be the Empire Strikes Back crawl, or something like that. So, and I don't think we got quite there. Because you remember, if you remember how it started, I mean, this thing started pretty much right after the ceremony at the end of 4.
Yeah.
So I did think we were going to get up until, Vader releasing the probes, even though he does that in this book, which makes me feel like it's right there, but it's not.
It misses the mark. I mean, one thing you've said before we started recording that just really stuck with me is that the stakes don't feel high enough. And I completely agree with you. I mean,
yeah.
I never really felt over the last 2 volumes that their base on Hoth was compromised or was in danger, or I never felt that. So I agree with you. I think the thing is you're expecting this high stakes thing where Hoth is their last hope in this moment. But I never felt that while reading the comics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, kind of not too spoilery, but at the end of 75, yes, they're above Hoth, but they're not they haven't established the base fully yet, right? So still some time there.
Doesn't Empire Strikes Back start with Luke already on a
Tauntaun?
Thank you. Yes. Out in the middle of the winter,
yes.
So you're right. There is even if the time jump is them flying to the planet and Luke immediately getting on a Tauntaun and going out into the snow. Even if that is the time jump, there's still a jump. You would you put it perfectly. You would expect, based on how this began, it would end the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, and so if we talk a little bit about Empire Ascendant, then Empire Ascendant,
yes,
came out, one issue that came out right after the series wrapped, and this, it's weird because it technically is supposed to, and it's, I believe it was it wasn't written by Greg Pak, I don't think. I think it was, it's actually written by several writers because there's 4 different storylines in this Empire Ascendant book, right?
Right.
You're getting a one called An Echo of Victory, which is written by Charles Soule, which is Star Wars, which is they're on Hoth, and kind of spoilers, but it's about Poe Dameron's parents. which they were introduced a while ago in a book called Shattered Empire.
So good.
Yes, very good. Have we talked about that?
Have we talked about that?
I don't think so. I don't think we have done that one.
I know what we're going to do next time.
Actually, I just found a typo in this book.
No, you didn't.
They misspelled. I can't see. They misspelled empire. Can you see that?
No, they didn't.
You see that?
Free.
Yeah.
Is it on the digital? No, is it on the digital?
It might be. I don't know.
I'm looking it up right now.
The Darth Vader storyline is called In Service to the Empire, and that was written by Greg Pak, which that one was weird, so that made sense. Two sides to every sortie, which is Bounty Hunters, Ethan Sachs, Dr. Aphra, Epilogue, Simon Spurrier. So basically what this Empire Ascendant book did was it basically wrapped up or introduced some of the storylines that were going on. So it wraps up Star Wars, sets up the next series, which is between Empire and Jedi. You kind of wrap up Vader, or actually introduce Vader, because I think Volume 3 was about to kick off. Mm-hmm. You're kicking off Bounty Hunters, and you're kicking off, or this is the epilogue to Dr. Aphra's books, because it has her family in it. So anyway, it was a neat little way to bring them together. I actually found that Empire Ascendant book to be better than these last couple of volumes, to be honest.
Oh, yes. I don't think there's a debate about that at all.
Did you find the digital?
I'm not finding. Where is it?
It should be in the folder. Yeah.
No. I have the. I just can't find the error.
Oh, it was on the. Oh, those are individual issue. That's an individual issue, I think. So.
Oh, okay.
It's probably just in the trade. It's probably this page is only in the trade, so it's probably Yeah.
Never mind.
I wonder if it probably got fixed in the second printing. This is the first printing, so bet you it got fixed.
You have a collector's edition.
I got a rarity, maybe. Yeah. So which of these 4 stories in the Empire Ascendant book did you like?
Well, I think personally, I just really liked. I don't know. I mean, I know we talked about this right before we recorded, but to me, it just constantly goes back to the fact that Luke faces Vader a lot more than we think he does. And yes, I like how we're connected to Haas. Sure, it's great to see Poe's parents get introduced to some other really unique and cool characters. But I don't know. I don't know which one is my favorite, because to me, I can't put I honestly think it does come back to what you said earlier about the stakes not being high enough. And it could be shame on me for having expectations that there were going to be high stakes leading into Empire Strikes Back. And maybe I shouldn't have had those high expectations. I can't pick a favorite, because to me, overall, it was just kind of a letdown. I hate to say it, but we hit this climax in the earlier volumes, and then all of a sudden it just was like, that's how you're going to wrap it up. But once again, that could just be me walking in with one expectation and not getting it. Do you have a favorite?
Well, I already knew about Poe's parents, so as soon as I started reading about that, it wasn't surprising that it wasn't a surprise to me, like, oh, these are Poe's parents. Like, I had known who they were, so that story was okay. I think I actually think the one I liked is probably the Aphra one. The Vader one was a little weird.
The Vader one was very weird.
Yeah, because I don't know, it was just about this crazy colonel or whatever he was, and
I don't understand why they threw that in there. I mean, honestly, I would have rather just not have it at all.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to. I feel like it sets up something in his book, So we'd have to start reading that. But in the Valance thing, with the bounty hunters, whatever.
Well, hi, Superman. I mean,
yeah, that's funny. You said that. That's funny with the cape and everything. Yeah.
I'm sorry that for me reading the comics.
Cyborg. You're talking about Cyborg Superman, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yes. Okay.
What other Superman am I talking about?
Well,
well, touche. Anyway,
people might not listening. They might not know.
Right. But yeah, sorry. The names from the books stick better than the comic books, and I don't know why. But
yeah. So the one about Aphra and her family. Now I haven't read. Which I think we need to do that on this. We need to read the Aphra series.
Yes, we have not done that. We need to.
We need to. I started reading them. I haven't read them all, but I didn't realize. I'm assuming you get to know her family in that series because they're in this. But I will say, and this is not really spoiling too much. I don't think it's just a little aspect of it. But I liked. The reason why I really like this one is I like the fact that she had kind of a fingerprint on the protection of this base.
Yes.
It's cool to know that.
It is cool to know that. And I think she all along, I mean, in the very beginning of this whole series, we see her even protecting Leia,
Yes. Yeah.
Because I can't remember if she was outright told, but I know at the very least she suspected that Padme had twins.
Yes, I think so.
So she was like, I got to protect one of them. Vader only asked for one, so I'm only going to give him one. I think all along Aphra is very much of a Han Solo character in a female body. Mm-hmm. In the sense of, yes, she's only out for herself. She'll do whatever she can to protect herself. But she also has a moral compass.
Yes, agreed.
And I think that this just shows it even more. So, yeah, I would agree with you. If I had to pick one, I guess I would choose Aphra. Also because I'm like, wait, family? Excuse me? What? But
yeah.
I think I just was so thrown off by the Vader one that I just was like, what am I reading?
Yeah, I know. It's a little out there. Okay, so overall, though, we've actually, again, 13 volumes. We've had a lot of good storylines, kind of just refreshing your memory a little bit. We had one called the Showdown on Smuggler's Moon. We had Vader Down, which was incredible. Other ones that I really stood out to me were Last Flight of the Harbinger. Mm-hmm. Those like the middle ones. That was 4, and then like 6, which was no, that was Out Among the Stars. We both didn't like that one. It was really like 7, 8, 9 is really where it kicked in. Like 7 was The Ashes of Jeddah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Incredible.
That's probably my favorite of the series.
Yes, I think I probably agree with you. There was then Mutiny at Mon Cala, so we went to Mon Cala.
That was a good one too.
9 was Hope Dies.
Yes,
which is incredible too. That one and Jeddah were like,
that's up there.
I know. And then we got introduced to Sana Staros, right? Who ends up being maybe Han's wife in a sense, right? No, but yeah, like you said, we crossed paths with Aphra. Queen Trios was a big character that kind of jumped in and out of the series. A lot of great stories, a lot of great interactions. So overall, as we look at this as a whole and look at the gap that it filled between episodes 4 and 5, which I do like that concept. Like, I think, I think there's a somewhat of an argument out there a little bit between Star Wars fans that, and honestly, you've kind of made this argument a little bit with Andor coming. It's like, do we need to see some of these? Do we need to have some of these stories? Do we need gaps filled? When we were talking about gaps, we're really talking about the movies, because the movies have jumped around the timeline and, and there's years in between them. Do we need to know what happened between them? And this clearly gives you what happened between episodes 4 and 5. For one, did you enjoy knowing what happened, and did it kind of satisfy and actually fit? And really, the problem is does it actually fit? The characters that we know from 4 and 5, does it actually fill in that growth between those characters?
I think for the most part it does, especially with regards to Luke and with regards to the character development or relationship development between Leia and Han. Because we just are like, oh, time skipped and Luke can somewhat use the Force. And Han and Leia suddenly have this really thick tension between the two of the, okay, we'll roll with it. So do I think it's needed? Not necessarily, because, we just accept the fact that these things happen, but it is cool to see them go on this journey. And I don't know, it's so hard to say whether or not it's needed / wanted, because a lot of the times with the books that we've read or the comics that we read is, I didn't know I wanted this, but I read this and now I know that I wanted it. It's such a hard question to ask. I think it's ultimately, I don't even think I can say it's ultimately something. It's, for the most part, there are a lot of really cool stories that were told in the comics. There were.
Mm-hmm.
And it's characters that we know and love. So I think for the most part, if you are curious what happens between 4 and 5, definitely give it a read. If you're not curious, try it. If it doesn't gel with you, then just stick to the original trilogy. I don't know. That's kind of my takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird because I feel like and maybe it's just because it feels like we're being thrown so much content so much faster than we have time to actually consume it and dwell on it and chew on it. Because I don't know about you, but I hate to make the comparison to Marvel again. But with Marvel, it was great when we only got 2 movies a year.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was time to really digest it, to chew on it, to think about it, to enjoy it. And now it just feels like homework.
Yeah.
The thing about this comic series is that it didn't feel like homework because I didn't feel like I had to read it in order to understand episode 5. And maybe that's the difference. Maybe it's if it's considered work, saying, well, in order to understand this, you have to do X, Y, and Z, then it's like, oh, really, I got to do this? But if it's, hey, if you want to know what happens between X, Y, and Z, then read this. But if you don't want to know, that's okay too. Maybe it's the difference between having the freedom to decide to do it versus being told you have to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I just think, I personally like the idea of filling in the gaps and kind of knowing what these characters went through. I think that helps. I mean, I after reading this whole thing and watching Empire now, you kind of have you always have a different take on it, a different feel. At least I do. Even though it's strange because the characters that are in the movie, don't know this history. Like Mark Hamill doesn't know this history. But it's cool to think that character does, right? Luke has been through these things now that we've seen, and he's encountered Vader prior to episode 5. And like we've said, Vader knows Luke's his son this whole time, right? It's crazy. There's some crazy concepts that you think of that we've run into from the novels and these comics. And, we're going to talk deeply about that in other shows, I'm sure. But, this was pretty, I felt like this was pretty good. There were definitely other volumes that were way up there. This volume, maybe not so much, but overall, I feel like, it did a good job growing these characters and getting them closer to the next movie.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it accomplished what it needed to. But like you said though, what's crazy is that this was 75 issues.
This was a lot.
It was a long, not only like you said, if you're trying to keep up with, because think about that. That's you're talking. I got to look up how often these things came out, but like usually they're once a month, right? I mean, that's 75 months. I mean, what did I don't think this ran 5 years, but maybe it did. But if you think about that, getting these stories, monthly and then keeping up with everything else, that's a lot of content out there. So in my opinion, if you're gonna fill in the gap, wait till you can tackle it like in a short time period to kind of wrap your head around it all, right?
Yeah.
So I like the way we did it. I mean, I think we tackled it by these volumes, because each one of these volumes is kind of its own contained story. But yeah, I mean overall I liked it, and I think I'm looking forward to because I haven't read any of the books between Empire and Jedi.
That'll be fun. That will be
which
fun.
is still ongoing. Actually, it's still going.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Well, we better hop on that bed.
So we'll hop it on it. I think they're 25 or 26 issues in.
All right.
Into that series, so
we got our work cut out.
I know, right? So real quick, issue 1 of this series came out January 14th, 2015.
Wow.
So that's when Marvel kicked off their comic series, was January 2015. So this was before even episode 7 came out, right? This is the comic series started in 2015. So the last issue, which was 75, came out November of 2019. So it lasts almost 5 years.
Wow.
Right? So this series was pretty long. It's a pretty long series. So, but they're all out there. If anybody wants to go read them now, they're all out there.
Just like Pokemon, gotta catch them all, gotta read them all.
That's gotta read them all. Yep. All right, last. Give me a rating on volume 13, and then give me a rating for the entire series.
Volume 13, I'm going to give it a 2.5. Okay. The Chewbacca Darth Vader fight kind of bumped it up a 0.5 for me.
Yeah.
Overall, though, the whole Star Wars, I'm going to have to give it a 3.75.
3.75, okay.
It's coming down to the fact that there are some fantastic stories being told here. There just are, even outside of the context of Star Wars itself and the Skywalker saga. Great stories.
Yes.
But do you need it between 4 and 5? I don't think you necessarily do. I don't think you necessarily do. It helps, sure. But if you don't want to read all of the issues, okay, that's your choice.
Yeah.
And you won't be missing out on anything significant.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you'd be missing out on some pretty cool tales and adventures.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there are maybe, if I really think back and look back, I think there may be 2 or 3 instances that I can say, yes, those are pretty impactful moments.
Mm-hmm.
But does the series impact, how much does it impact our characters from what we know from them between 4 and 5? Probably not. You know, like you said, I think I agree with you. I think it's very cool stories to know what our characters went through, but it's hard to make it very impactful that it changes them at all going into the next movie, right? So,
you know what we got to do now? We have to watch the original trilogy and see if, due to reading these comics.
Well, that's why we'll do that. We'll do that a lot when we start doing these commentaries because that's what I want to reference, a lot of these stories that are out there and how much that it kind of impacts, you know, your because like I said, when I watch Empire, I will be thinking about some of these stories.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe our opinion will change.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it will. I'm telling you what, a little preview, a little Shadow of the Sith when we start talking about that.
Oh, don't even get me started on that.
That changes.
Oh my gosh.
That definitely changes how you view the sequel trilogy. I'm just saying. So
you want to talk about a game changer?
Yeah. So that's a different show. In fact, actually, we would have already talked about it because I'm going to bring Hannah on Inside the Force, and because we're going to talk spoilers, and we don't really talk spoilers here on Beyond the Saga. So. Nope. Because we want you guys to go and experience these stories without, you know, us telling you anything that kind of gives anything away. But on Inside the Force, we are talking all about spoilers. So
you have to, because there's so much, like, oh my, like, duh.
Yeah. Like, so that episode is probably out there already. So go check that out. In fact, it'll be at the end of this. I'll put it at the end of this this episode as a link. Yeah. So my rating on
yes
13, I'm with you. I'll give it 2.5. I'll give the series I was thinking a 4, which is kind of right where you're at. Yeah. I think things like Vader Down was incredible. Ash is a Jedha, Hope Dies. Those were really, really good stories.
Yes.
So yeah, man, feels good to wrap up that series. We'll be moving on to other books as well as other comics, and you know, coming soon we're going to get into these commentaries. So yeah, we got all kinds of stuff to talk about, Hannah.
Oh, I'm so ready and so excited.
All right. Thank you for going on this journey. We will obviously continue talking about all the stories beyond the Skywalker saga on YouTube, on all your podcast feeds. Go to patreon.com if you want to support the show, get early access to all these episodes as well as some bonus content and all that stuff. And it's merch. We got some merch out there. And I'm about to launch. I almost got the store done for some exclusive Inside the Force t-shirts. So look for that here soon. All right. Hannah, as always, thank you so much.
And thank you, as always.
No problem. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. See you next time. May the Force be with you.